So introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Delaney. I am sort of a lifetime Chicago person. I grew up actually in Oak Park, but I went to school in Hyde Park. And then when I turned 18, I moved to the north side. So I've kind of done a lot of different places in Chicago. Right now, I work in coffee. So I'm a barista, which is kind of a glorified word for people who make coffee and therefore make sandwiches and stuff like that. But yeah, I work at a place called Heritage Bicycles, which does coffee and bicycles. We happen to make the only totally locally built bicycle in Chicago, which is kind of a cool Chicago factoid. And I am about to turn 23. I have a 2-year-old. She's almost 2. I keep telling people she's 2 because it explains why she acts like such a brat a little bit better. But she's amazing. And her first word, I was just telling these guys, her first word was tattoo. So that's my other slightly funny but not Chicago related story. So I was going to tell this quick story about the first apartment that I ever rented by myself in Chicago, and I had just left school early, so I didn't finish, and I was just about to turn 19, and I moved in with one of my best friends from high school. We moved into this apartment on Irving Park Road that was kind of, it's like a very strange neighborhood. They maybe call it North Center, but it's like stuck in between Uptown and Lakeview and Wrigleyville, but like there's this little pocket on Irving Park just near Ashland that doesn't really have anything going on, and at the time it had even less going on. This is maybe 4 years ago now, and the only thing that was really notable about the street was that there was a bar right next door to one of the best tattoo parlors actually in Chicago, but the bar was called El Gato Negro, which was like tranny Hispanic kind of bar. I don't know, I never went, but I knew there was a lot going on there all the time. People up and down my alley at 3 in the morning, and all kinds of characters. So we didn't know anything about the apartment. We literally went to an apartment service. They said this guy drove us around, and we looked at a bunch of different places. We found this one we really liked, and it was affordable. We said, okay, we'll take it. And when we left, we had to go Google Map it because we literally had no idea where in the city we had rented. We just knew that we finally had a home. So we moved in, and everything was great, and we lived there for almost a year. And my sister was 16 at the time, and 16 or 17, and I was working a restaurant job, so I worked late at night, and she was coming over to hang out with me, and I was running late. So she got there, and she was waiting on my back porch. We had kind of a nice little like back stairway area where we would hang out, smoke cigarettes, and eat food, and play the djembe all the time, which was weird, I guess. But we had neighbors upstairs that were kind of like these like college football pro type guys, and they would always have these parties and lots of girls over and drinking. So I guess they had been out there doing that, and Darcy was waiting for me, and I was trying to get home as fast as I could. And she's calling me and texting me, "Where are you? I'm leaving. This is driving me crazy. You never can get anywhere on time." And I was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm coming. I'm gonna be there as soon as I can." So she gave up. She had a car because she's always been responsible like that. And so she got in her car. She walked down the back stairs, and as she was leaving, this man was walking up the alley, and she noticed him because he looked a little bit different. Not for any reason except that he looked like could have been like maybe indigent or just like maybe a little drunk or a little crazy. Something was not quite right about this guy. So she noticed him as she was leaving. She got in her car. She started driving, and she was like, "Oh, I don't want to go all the way home. I don't want to stay with my parents," whatever. She drove around the block. She came back through the alley, and when she got in the alley, and it had been like 3 minutes maybe, the alley was full of cops and firefighters. There was an ambulance, and this guy, like half of his body was sticking out from under a body bag at the bottom of my stairs, like directly, like you have the stairs in the Chicago apartments, and then you have these big poles that have like concrete around it. His head was like halfway like depressed into the alley. Like the back of his head had just gone away, and he was there, and she was like, holy, like, I don't know what it's just a 17-year-old girl, like waiting for her sister. So she's trying to like tell the cops she needs to get back up to the apartment, and she's like texting me, like freaking out, what is going on, like there's a dead man at the bottom of the stairs. And by the time I got home, everybody was gone. Like they had cleared out all the emergency people, and that they had taken the body away, and the only thing that was left was like this mushy, bloody pile at the foot of my basement, or at the foot of my back stairs. And I was like skirting it, trying to be like, oh god, that's disgusting, and I got in the house, and Darcy, I let her in, and she was just like, I need to go to bed right now, immediately. So she went to sleep, and I was hanging out with my friends. We're all kind of like a little bit panicked, like, what happened? Because basically, the only thing that could have happened is he fell or was pushed off of the stairway at some level, because there's no way that you could like lose that much of your head without like hitting something really, really hard. So then it was like, well, did he get in a fight with somebody like on the back stairs? We had no idea, and I still have no idea because they never told us. But we were hanging out in the house, and then this knock comes on the door, and I go to answer it, and it's cops. And I am very nervous about talking to anyone in authority, especially police, and I've had some bad conversations with police officers before, so I was like, oh Lord, I don't necessarily want to do this. But they were like, we need to talk to anybody who was here at the time that this happened tonight. And I was like, well, I'm not here. I wasn't here, but my sister was. But officer, she's 17, she's really scared, she finally fell asleep. So she told me everything that had happened. Can I just report the story to you the way that she told me? And luckily they were actually really understanding. We're like, okay, that's totally fine. And so I downloaded very briefly, much more briefly than this, the story that she had told me, and they dutifully wrote everything down in little notepads. We're like, all right, well, we'll let you know if we need anything else. And for whatever reason, maybe because there isn't much focus on what actually happens to indigent people in this city, they never came back, and they never told anyone in the building anything else about what had happened. And the only sort of aftermath in my life was that it rained that night, and so we got to watch the bloody brain mess at the bottom of the stairs kind of trickle down the alleyway for the next couple of days until it finally disappeared. And that was my living in North Center, next to El Gato Negro.
Thank you.
You're welcome.